Task 8 is suturing using an interrupted stitch in a horizontal mattress configuration. Again, we will use the FLS model, but as you can see, we've added two sets of suturing targets. We are actually going to ignore the central set and only use these external corner sets to sew a horizontal mattress type of a stitch. We will start by loading our needle correctly. The timer starts at this point. We will hold the model close to where we want to penetrate the target as shown here so that we achieve good accuracy. We'll brace the other side of the model as shown here, come through, holding our needle in a relatively perpendicular fashion with our needle driver. We can then pull a little bit excess suture through. We can then change from a forehand configuration to a backhand configuration just by manipulating the needle as shown here with the forceps and the needle driver and turning our body appropriately. We will then hold the model here and backhand our needle through the appropriate remaining two sets. It is perfectly reasonable to do that in a one bite configuration. We will then pull our suture through while we can brace the model. We'll then do an instrument tie, again using a surgeon's knot, pulling the tail in the opposite direction, laying our instrument between the long tail and the short tail, grabbing the short tail and pulling it again in the opposite direction, and then finally throwing our third throw. We can then score this model by cutting our sutures tails to about 1 centimeter, inspecting it closely to see if indeed the suture passed through the colored segments and if there's any type of a gap within this. And as you can see, the accuracy is without error and there's no gap in the tissue. We can then also see if there's any slippage in this knot if we are so lucky as to insert our scissors there and to break the strand, and indeed the strand broke and the tails are completely intact. Here are some of the pitfalls to avoid with this horizontal mattressing suture. Certainly if you grab your model back here, you may be able to achieve good accuracy and come through like so, but it is less reliable than grabbing each piece together. This is important to understand. Right now my needle is loaded forehand as I'm driving it through like so. If I grab it like this and with my needle driver not ratchet it down, but simply holding the needle loosely, I can swivel this into this configuration and then ratchet it down such that my needle is now loaded backhand where I'll be going like so. Then I can turn my body accordingly, backhand this needle through the remaining two dots, and to tie my throws with the needle driver again, surgeon's knot, pulling the tail across such that it's square, placing it in the middle, rotating over, grabbing the tail and pulling it upwards this time in the opposite direction, needle driver in the middle, rotating over and pulling it again in the opposite direction, and the task is complete.